First question here, Matthew. My life is a mess, and there are lots of things I need to reclaim. Where should I even start?
So I think all our lives are a mess. So, the first thing I think is to acknowledge that our lives are a mess. And as I point out in the book, the goal isn't to fix all the mess. You know, when you fix this mess, that you're going to have a new mess. So, what is the purpose of the mess? We have to ask ourselves that. And the purpose of the mess is that as we work on the mess, we grow, we change, we develop character, we develop virtue, we become a better version of ourselves, we become more of who God created us to be. And that's in instances where the mess can be worked on. There are other scenarios where the mess can't be worked on. It has to be accepted. It is what it is. You can't change it. You have no control over it. You have no influence over it. And so that calls us to a place of surrender, to a place of acceptance. And again, what is the purpose of that? That it helps us develop character, develop virtue, become all who God created us to be. And so we have to understand that the mess has a purpose, but that our purpose is not to fix the mess. And so the first step is to just acknowledge the mess. The second part of your question is that, you have a lot of areas to reclaim. Which one should you start with? You're really asking the wrong person, That voice within you has the answer to that question, So when we talked about learning to listen to that voice within you and allowing the Holy Spirit to direct you, and that it's impossible to rely too much on that voice and the Holy Spirit, I just really encourage you to jot down, okay, these are the areas of my life I think I need to reclaim, and then just really reflect on it and see which one emerges, which one that voice brings your attention to day after day, time after time.
Great. Thanks, Matthew. Question number 2. How do you know when it's time to reclaim something?
So again, I would say that voice within us, at first, when it's time to reclaim something, that voice within us will say, well, you should reclaim that. And we'll ignore that because we're in the busyness of life, we're hustle and bustle of the day and whatever else. And then something else will happen and that voice will say, hey, we talked about reclaiming that. Over time, it will just become incessant. If we don't listen, the yearning will grow, the need will grow, and it will become incessant that we need to reclaim a part of our lives. I think it's important not to let it get there. I think we do let it get there. We let it get to a point where we have no choice but to reclaim that aspect of our lives. And then we're usually in a place of great sadness or desperation, which is not conducive to clarity or living life to the fullest or living life with passion and purpose. But it does change. It does force us to change because at that point we have no choice. Better to listen to that voice and make the changes, I think, long before we get to that point.